Hello, this is John, Vintage Fisherman. Going to work on a reel today. It's a Shakespeare Alpha 070. Has one ball bearing, 4.1 to 1 ratio. It's made for 15, 20, 30, 40, and 50 pound tests. Well, that pretty much covers it all, doesn't it? I would say 20 to 30 pound test would be perfect for this reel. 270 of 20. It does have an issue. I don't know if you can tell if that handle's bent. Yeah, it's bent pretty good. So before I even tear it down, I'm going to see if I can straighten that handle out. Because if it breaks, there's no point in tearing it down. Almost there. All I'm doing is just taking a adjustable wrench, a rag around it, tighten the adjustable wrench down, just kind of eyeball it. Nah, it's not wanting to bend now. I think I just got it. Let's see. You know, that's pretty daggum close. I think I'll go with that. So it functions fine. Otherwise, it might still be bent just a little bit there. Now it's bent. Now it's bent like this. That's going to be a little more difficult. That's going to be a little more difficult. I'll straighten that out when I get the handle out. I can do that in the vise and it'll just bend it. It just needs a little bit. So, pretty good size reel. It functions. I had someone mention in a comment, I can't remember the fellow's name, and he said he collects, this is real similar to a Silver Series Daiwa, and he collects these alphas too. So I'm going to fix this one up. I'm probably not going to keep this reel for my collection. It will get sold on my store, but let's, I'll tell you what, it does remind me a lot of the Daiwa Silver Series. Let's lay them out. That way when we go back with it, I can always forget to watch the video until how it goes back together. I think there's a washer back here too. Could be wrong. Maybe not. Can't really tell. Oh, there he is. There's a washer back there. Alright, so that's apart. Let's take the handle off. I believe it just threads backwards. And when I'm cleaning everything up, I'll finish straightening this handle up. I can put that in a vise across the jaws right there. I think I can squeeze it into my vise and it will. I've got aluminum jaws on my vise, or non-marring jaws, and I think I can tighten it down. I'll put a rag in it too, and it should draw that thing back just enough where it's just fine. Let's get that handle cover off. It's pretty dirty, as you can tell. The reel is just nasty, so you're going to be really amazed at how well this reel cleans up. All right, we'll take the side cover off. This reel has been well used. Somebody has probably caught some nice fish on this reel. It's not your top of the line reel, but there's nothing wrong with it. It'll catch fish. And it does remind me a lot of the Silver Series from Daiwa. I remember these things being out there when I was younger. I think this reel might be from the 80s. I could be wrong. It is made in Korea. So there's that. Clean that cover up. Let's see, there is a shim. There might be another shim. No, I think there's just the one shim. This is only a 2-bearing reel, so I'm going to take this screw out, just like a Silver Series. Yeah, they copied each other back then too, just like they do now. Well, now there's only like 3 or 4 companies that actually make fishing reels. a good cleaning. I don't see any other shims on that. That comes out. I'm not gonna bother to take that out. That's not worth that pleasure's not worth the pain, is what I'm trying to say. Let's see if I can get this screw out of there. Yeah. Take the cross wind gear out. We can clean good underneath it. Now I'm gonna check, make sure there's not a shim right there, and there's not. There's nothing out on this end. There was nothing on the main gear on this side. And I don't think that's a shimmer, it's just where it's been rubbing. So we're going to leave that well enough alone. I'll clean that up good. Let's take this, looks like a 14. Yep, that'd be right. Oh, that one's reverse thread, folks. Interesting. Well, yep, reverse thread. Okay, that's different from a Silver Series. There is a washer in there. This thing is going to be stuck. Maybe not. Okay. We'll take the rotor apart in just a minute. Now, over here, pretty simple. 3 screws. Don't want to cooperate. Put straight blade on it. That's not going to work. Maybe this straight blade. Ah, boy, that one's on there. Yeah, maybe this Phillips will get it. Nope. Well, Houston, we might have a problem on that one. Let's get this bad boy on there. This always seems to get them when nothing else will. Look at that. That's the handiest little dude. It's just a tool I made out of parts of other tools. It's really fine Phillips. Of course, I've about rounded that one all the way out. Somebody's going to be into this thing 100 years from now and say, what'd that idiot do? Anyway, why'd he butterfly that screw like that? It was stuck hard, folks. I don't normally do that. Here we go. That goes up, that little trip is actually a cover. It goes on there. And it goes on just like that. Okay? Now, pull the bearing, pull the gear. And that bearing comes out. The bearing, it didn't feel like to me the bearing had any issues. We're just going to wipe the crud off the outside of it and put some oil in it. Do not grease bearings, it'll just slow them down. Always use oil on bearings. Yeah, that bearing feels pretty good. I'll put some of this blue oil in there. Slowed it up. Just can't hurt it, right? Let sit there and soak. So that's the housing. We'll clean that up in the washer. Alright, what we got? We got a trip over here. It means we're going to have a bell spring over here. Let's take, that's got an unusual type, that's like one of those tamper-proof screws. I don't have a driver out here for that. So we're just going to make it work with what we got. It's like a nut. The roller's free. That's always a good thing. Now we'll take this side off. This is the side with the trip. So we'll go ahead and take this, we'll take part of this on. I'm going to be real careful here not to butterfly this screw because it can be seen. Okay. Take that out. Up under here you're going to find a couple levers made just like most of the reels back in the day when this reel was produced, well, it's only got the one lever. I'm not going to take that out, folks. I'm going to clean that good, and we'll leave it alone. Let's take the bell spring out and clean underneath that cover. Looks like a pretty easy bell spring to set. It's just dirty, a little corrosion. All right. Now we're going to use my special tool here to break that screw free with. And we got, that's the last screw in the reel right there. Bell spring's good, nothing broke. So what I do is, I don't think I've ever done this for anybody. I haven't done this on any of my videos. I use these coffee filters, reusable coffee filters. And I'll put the parts, like everything that goes with the rotor, goes in there. Make sure there's not a liner in there. It doesn't look to be. This is everything that goes with the rotor, including the washers. Okay, that's one group. The next group will be the plate, striker. We'll get to this gear in there. I got to scrape some of that off. So as I go through here, let's put that screwdriver up. Leave that one out. I'll take a little small, cheap screwdriver and just, and that grease is not in bad shape. It's going to clean off pretty easily. I don't know if you can see me doing this or not. Just going to scrape off some of that grease, lay that in there. The gears will go in a different container. So for real, it's been out there forever. It's not too bad a shape. It'll clean up really nice. Could have just done a real quick and cheesy cleanup on it, but everything I sell is serviced unless noted. I have an eBay store called the Vintage Fisherman 1, all one word. And you know, I don't know how much I would sell this reel for. Actually, I'm gonna put the gears in here. Let's see, we can clean this up. I try to get as much excess grease off as I can so it doesn't get my ultrasonic cleaner so nasty. Get that tray there will run the longest. And then we'll drop in our drag cover plate screws. That actually goes in that one. That will go in that one. I do not put bearings in ultrasonic. This will go in ultrasonic cleaner first, then I'll straighten it up. So that's everything goes in the cleaner. So when y'all come back, everything will be nice and clean. I don't want you to have to listen to all the buzzing going to happen here in a minute. Well, I'm back. I've got this Shakespeare Alpha 070 cleaned up. Let's put it together. Not a bad looking reel. It's not a reel that I'm going to keep for my collection, but it will be for sale and somebody out there might want it. Like mentioned before by a viewer, it's a lot like a Daiwa Silver series. Not a lot of difference really. So let's lubricate this pivot point right here. Let's put the bell spring in. Lots of lubrication. This is a saltwater size reel, so Yeah, somebody may get out there in the surf with it. They're on a pier. Bell spring goes in first, short side down. Well, the short side on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and let's put some grease on top of that. We'll put the cover plate on. Hold that in place. And let's get the right screwdriver here. I don't want to butterfly these screws. They are visible. When I say butterfly, it means when you slip and it curls out the slot a little bit. That doesn't look good. It's all about matching that screwdriver blade up, and you don't over tighten these things. You know, people, I don't know what it is. People build these reels and way over tighten stuff. We're not torquing down the head bolts on a diesel engine here. I want to say it goes just like that. You got two different bolts. Well, no, they're the same. So just pick one. Put it in. I'll put a little bit of oil underneath it. And run it down. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, we're going to grease up these holes. And we'll put the cover plate on this side. Takes the same screw on both sides. There we go. Sometimes you got to finagle it just right to get them to seat into those grooves. Finally getting some decent weather around Virginia. It's fishing weather, but unfortunately it's always during the week. It's rained about every Saturday, and Sundays are kind of tied up for me. So I haven't been able to get out, do the fishing I want to do yet, but there's content coming. Just be patient. We'll get it there. I've got the cameras charged and ready to go, and it's just a matter of getting the weather right. I did get a notice that they stocked our private pond again today. So maybe this weekend, you know, maybe we'll just go get wet in the rain Saturday and see what happens. All right, you put your roller on, and going to just a dab of grease there. And this goes on. There's nothing, unlike the silk, well, never mind what I just said. It does take this little stand off here, and then it goes on. And then you've got a lock washer and that special nut that goes on there. It's kind of odd, but you can get it with a regular screwdriver. You're just going to kind of run out of grip, so don't butterfly it. Okay, the roller's turning. That's pretty tight. That feels really good. Look at that. That's like brand new. All right. We can put the pinion gear back in it. Bearing goes in. This bearing will go either way. I always put lubrication in with those bearings slide up into the housing, and the reason being I've had to use pullers, heat, all kinds of drastic measures just to get the bearings to pop out of the housings, and that's not good. You don't want that. We'll lubricate the gear, of course. Hey, I wanted to say I'm approaching 6,000 views, which is pretty incredible. I might do a separate little short or something about that. I never would have thought this channel would draw the viewers like it has. There's several of these fishing reel repair channels out there now, and I watch those channels, you know. And I thought, well, there's some reels that they don't do, and there's some reels that I do that I think would be pretty cool for people to see repaired. And so I did my way, and I appreciate their way. Like I said, I've been a subscriber to a couple of those channels for quite a while now, and I appreciate those guys and what they do. And I'm pretty sure some of them probably watch my videos too. It's all good. That little tab looking thing is your bail flip, bail reset. This big looking C goes back in there, and it's got a step in it. That step goes over top of that piece, so make sure you get that right. And we'll start these screws as I go, so I'm not chasing them all over the mat here. And, it was 70 today in my town. That's just crazy. I mean, I've seen Marches like this before, and we usually get a little summer-like weather in early March, and then March comes in like a lamb and goes out like a lion, as we used to say. I grew up on a farm, and I've seen this weather. The people say climate change, whatever. Well, maybe so. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I won't start that debate. But I would say it's just kind of, I've seen it like this before in the 70s, you know. So it's not like it's exclusive to this day and time. But, yeah, that could be looked at a lot of different ways. So there's how it all goes together. I'm going to put a little grease on that. This is keyed, so it goes on there. Then you got a lock, which is keyed, and it goes on there like that. And then you're going to put your rotor nut on. This is a very simple reel, easy to maintain. Hard to start to... You know why it's not starting? Remember when I took it apart, it was reverse threads? That means it's still reverse threads. It didn't nothing change. I'll get it right here in a minute. Well, maybe I won't get it right. Okay, here we go. Now we'll tighten it up. Maybe not. There we go. All right, now let's check the bail flip on it before we get too far into it. Look how smooth that bearing is. Goodness gracious. That's beautiful. That really is nice. They did a really nice job. And also, when I was washing this thing, this plate came off. And I really didn't want to go through the whole process. I've showed y'all on previous videos on my, I think it was the 4000C Silver Series. The plate came off. It's the same thing. I cleaned it all up with alcohol, denatured alcohol. There you go. Keep some right here on the bench. With a Q-tip. Just clean up both sides. Scrape off all the old glue you can with maybe a plastic scraper or something, you know. I use these gun cleaning tools that have little plastic scraper points on it, and this one's got plastic bristles. Clean that up, and then put some of this Loctite extreme glue on it. Works really well, and that took care of that. So let's finish putting this bad boy together. Lubricate everything down in here that anything might slide on. and spin and rotate on. Okay. And then we'll take this gear, grease those teeth. And I don't know what kind of lubricant Shakespeare used back in the day, or whoever made these reels. I want to guess it was probably Olympic. They were big back during this time period, and they were a Korean. Let's see, made in Korea. Yeah, it's probably an Olympic, if I had to guess. And that grease, man, I tell you what, that was that stuff just, it held tight. I like to never got it off of there. So we got a screw that goes in there, and we'll put a little bit of grease down in where that screw, a little pocket there. We'll put that screw in. I'm going to start it because I can't get my big fingers down. I got this screw setter. If y'all been watching my channel, that's the coolest tool ever. Got that from a friend of mine. He was actually a next door neighbor at the time. He worked for IBM business machines, like printers, stuff like that. And when he passed away, his daughters gave me all of his tools, and this was in there. And it's HJJ Company, Oakland, California. And it's a screw setter, and you basically put it into the slotted screw, and you push the screw into it, and it spreads and grips the screw. It only works with slotted screws. It will not work with Phillips head. And it's not really getting the job done there, but that was my fault. I'll let it slip around. Let me see if I can't get this in there. There we go. Look at that. All right. Hell. Next thing is, let's lubricate this gear up. I'm going to give this bushing a little grease. I don't see any point in trying to oil that. It's probably going to just run right out of it. I'm going to grease up the cross wind drive. Boy, that's a lot of grease there, wasn't it? Of course, get a pretty good amount of grease on this main gear. I've already greased the pinion pretty good, but help it out any way you can. But you don't want to you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to just pile the grease in here. It's going to find its way all the way around. Go ahead and put that gear in. This slot in the bottom of the crosswind block, grease it good. And then those wings. Okay? And you're going to set that down in there. And you make sure it hits that there. There's that little peg that was on the crosswind gear. You want it to slide into that slot. And here is the axle shaft. Also, I haven't gone into this a lot lately because I haven't had one, but you want to spin these axle shafts to make sure they're not bent. This one was good. Oil on the axle shaft, people. Don't put grease on it. Some people do. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying it's not what I do. And then put your screw in. You'll push it through. This one's keyed so it doesn't spin, so your drag will work. It goes into that block. You'll see the screw line up down in there. It's a Phillips head. So we're going to grab this number 0 Phillips head screwdriver here and start that screw home with it. Okay. Now, when you put the cover on, you see that thing? That's your anti-reverse dog, right? So you want that in the down position so it puts the dog in the release where it will reverse. And you're going to have to, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's grease these screws up. Let's grease that up where it goes into this bushing. Grease the bushing a little bit. You want that, you're going to have to I don't even know how to show you this on camera, but you want that peg right there to go behind this. I got that right? Yes. So you got to kind of put this in there and then kind of, well, you might have to do it like this. Get this like this. Before you slide it against the gear, reach in there with a screwdriver. Okay, so now it should spin either direction, but when I flip the anti-reverse to on, you hear it in there? Go ahead and put your, guess what I didn't do? I didn't put the shim in there. Y'all didn't catch me do that? You're slacking. All right, let's try it again. Get it started. We'll get plenty of practice at this, if nothing else. Get a hold of this peg for your anti-reverse dog and slide it back. Put your cover on. We'll try it here in a second and make sure it's right before we go too much further. We'll grab a number 1 Phillips. Don't overdo them. Okay. So it should spin either way right there. And then when you cut that on, oh, listen to that. It's nice. It's nice and smooth. Over on this side, we're going to put some grease down in there for that handle cover. Just tighten it down. See here? Over on this side, we're going to grease down in the hole. I did straighten the handle. Look at that. It had a twist and it had a bow. All done. Let's lubricate it. I real gently got the twist out of it out here with a, I like to use a adjustable wrench. An 8-inch is perfect for the bench. You can do about anything you want to the 8-inch. And I got the twist out of it, but it still had the bend. So I've got just angled aluminum jaw covers for my vise over there. And I just basically put those jaw covers in there and tightened it down. Not like trying to smash the metal, but just tighten it down and it bent it right back where it was supposed to be. So it's in the perfect location. Tighten it down. Nice. Very smooth reel. Really impressed by it. Alright, let's build a drag. It had 2 washers down here. Okay. And I think I'll do a little something with those. That's a little greasy, isn't it? We'll take care of that. Yeah, I think I'm going to give all the drag washers in this thing a little help. Can't hurt them. Put some cowls on them. This reel might sit for a while before it sells, and I don't want it to the drag gets stuck on it, so we'll put everything together. Now on this side, you got a leather washer. We're going to cowls it up. Put some cowls on it. I rub it in to when I take my finger off of it, I can see my fingerprints, my thumbprint on it actually. Now you're going to get a keyed washer. This is like a fiber washer, but it's not like a HT100. It doesn't have a lot of texture to it, but it goes in, and then you've got an eared washer, then another fiber washer. It's almost like a piece of circuit board or something, if that makes sense. And then a keyed washer, and then I'm going to clean my hands. And Put the lock in there. And there it is. Wipe it down. Just kind of put it in there and rotate it around until, see, the line out alarm is working perfectly. We'll put a little bit of grease on those threads. They thread into a brass bushing in there, so you don't want that to corrode. Give it all the help you can, folks. Try to make them last. Just to show you Cowles works. That's probably about, that right there is probably about 15 to 20, well, let's say about 12 to 15 pounds of drag. And it will lock up. I can damn near lock it up. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I would say that reel is good to go. The Cowles makes the drag smoother. It doesn't make it less. It doesn't make it more. It just makes it smoother. All right, let's wipe it down. Is the reel perfect? Nope, it is not. It's got some scrapes and, you know, some good times fishing show on it and all that, but I see a couple places I want to clean it a little better there. I'll take something like a Q-tip and get that. But it reminds me a lot. I've said it probably 20 times in this video. It reminds me a lot of a Silver Series. Almost based on the same design. A little bit different on the anti-reverse. The anti-reverse on Silver Series is out here on the underneath the rotor. And the Silver Series has, I think they're all 3 bearings. This one's 1. But it probably didn't cost as much as the Silver Series either. So, you know, there's a trade-off, you know. Not everybody can afford the top of the line. And, you know, fishing's fishing, man. It's fun. So, you buy what you can afford and you go have fun with it. What do you think, folks? Shakespeare Alpha 2100 series. 070 size, so it's about 7,000. Very, very smooth. I used to have a surf rod that this would have been perfect on. I had a Shakespeare Alpha silver and blue surf rod from this time period. It was a 10-footer. I don't know what I did with it. I've looked the whole place over. I was going to pair it up and just make a cool little retro surf setup out of it. Anyway, there it is. Thanks for watching. Please like the video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. And I'll catch you on the next one. This is John, Vintage Fisherman. Talk to you later.